Welcome back to my channel. Hope your day is going great. Today is Thursday, the 12th of January 2023, and I am having one of those days where I am just getting myself together and ready to rock this voiceover day and let you in on a little secret. It's a big day. Last night, I watched a really enlightening interview on John Yates' channel. You may not know who John Yates is, but he is actually a blogger who is very well known for his 90 Day Fiancé content, but he has actually been starting to dabble in other content, like Sister Wives. John actually hosted a 3-hour interview with Paedon last night. Yes, you heard me right, 3 hours. In this video, however, I'd like to specifically zero in on just one aspect of that video, the aspect regarding Meri. They describe scenarios from when the kids were younger, examining why the rest of the family has a conflict with Meri. As is clear from the discussion, there was a lot of tension, a lot of talk about abrasive behavior that was possible for Meri, and the fact that she liked things done a certain way. She was even referred to as unsafe by Christine, who said that she never knew what kind of Meri she would be getting. Meri could be unpredictable. Unsafe in how way? Emotionally? Physically? Some may ask. It was apparent, according to Paedon, it was an issue of physical safety, particularly involving the kids. I'd also mentioned before some tweets from Madison that were from a few years ago, when she and Meri had, well, that's a story for later in this analysis. So all of this began several years ago when Madison had a blowout with Meri. Paedon mentioned to John that Madison had spoken about this on her Twitter feed several years ago, but then she deleted the tweets and in the end, her entire Twitter account when she said, "Oh my gosh, I just put that out into the universe." Talking about it was a big part of me deciding I was comfortable enough, Paedon continued, but then he disclosed something rather shocking. If I was to tell them exactly what was going on, we might not have a show anymore. Yes, you heard that right. The entire show might be ending. Isn't that just so freaking amazing? Well, today we are going to focus on Paedon dumping the tea about Meri and her reasons for possibly ending the series. So before we dive in, would you do me the huge favor of smashing that like button and subscribing to my channel if you haven't already? And of course, don't forget to turn on notifications so that you're alerted when I go live or when new videos are uploaded. Thanks in advance. And hey, share this video with some buddies and leave a comment down below if you have some perspectives on all of this. I am super duper excited about this. I have the opportunity every day to bring you updates just like this. Today's clips are taken directly from John's interview. He has given me permission to discuss this. However, this point in the conversation was now well into the second hour. Meri has been mentioned several times throughout, and it seems that Paedon has been dropping hints that she's not the easiest person to work around. He spoke about the kids not having an ideal relationship with her and even bringing up the catfishing incident. Let's instead examine what Paedon lived with as a kid with Meri and why he thinks there has been so much tension between her and the other kids. The topic of how to get along with Meri, Paedon describes as abrasive doesn't even begin to describe, at least in the eyes of some of the children. It went so far beyond words. It went so far beyond words, in fact, that words didn't even enter the picture anymore. It's a serious thing, he clarified. Just words, mind you, little worried phrases, and the words I chose to say weren't even words, and the tension was so strong. Paedon also shares how he was not able to share everything with his mother because his mother had actually been addressing it a long time ago in a tweet post, long before she deleted her Twitter account altogether. Whatever Paedon had posted was pretty consistent with what his mother was tweeting about with regard to Meri. It listed the fight between Madison and Meri as having allegedly arisen because of Madison's association with LuLaRoe. A quick refresher for those who are new to Madison's tweets. There ain't nothing like dealing with an abusive human your whole life and finally having the freedom to have nothing to do with her. You can't subtweet and not get blowback, she continued. Loyalty is to those who are always kind. And in another tweeting salvo, she wrote, "Try living in fear of someone your whole life, and she always acts like she's the victim. She was a monster, and now she's attacking one of the only safety nets you've got." This all occurred after Meri went live streaming and expressed the following views regarding working hard. You have to work hard, and you have to treat it like a business. If you don't treat it like a business, then you are not working hard. The criticism from Meri that not worked hard enough was actually a veiled insult at people working for her in LuLaRoe. This caused a lot of tension. Madison deleted all of her posts on Twitter not too long after all of this went down. All of these posts are now deleted, but fortunately they were saved. Until recently, the family has not had much to say about the situation. They've simply talked about the need for safety, stating that Meri is not a safe person. I've also told you what Meri's pattern of behavior was from the side of Christine. Well, in her book, Becoming Sister Wives, Christine has discussed the massive argument she and Meri had because of the way she disciplined her children. Apparently, Meri crossed the line one day in a way that caused Christine's trust in her and their relationship to be irreparably broken. Throughout the years, there have been shades of a problem with Meri's attitude, but directly, nothing has been hinted or indicated. Paedon has effectively spelled it right out, as Paedon has come forward and indicated, directly, that Meri has been doing things damaging to the kids under her care. He continued to give further explanation, not telling an entire story, just enough to get his point across. He also related it to Madison's old tweets from all those years ago and why she had deleted them. Paedon stated that it was basically, I put that out there and now it's already been released, so I can say something about it. And he summarized it starkly. Around Meri, we never were safe. John asked if his dad knew what was going on, and Paedon replied, not for several years, not for many, many years. Then he clarified this. Okay, you know what? This one I can say. He said that he never felt safe around Meri, that he never did. His dad just had no idea what was going on with Meri until Robin got involved in the family. Then he started talking about how Robin, because of her previous marriage, has an understanding of the signs and the behaviors that are in those kinds of situations. When she left her first husband, essentially the opposite of this happened in her relationship with Cody, because he would never be physical with her, which was a major component in her feeling a sense of safety. There was an interesting comment made by Paedon during a dialogue. He mentioned that he had never made Meri feel safe in his life, but that he would never hit Robin. John then followed up by asking Paedon if Cody had ever hit anyone else. Paedon responded, God was an amazing father, absolutely. Yes, he paddled my bum several times. He flicked me in the mouth. Oh my God, how dare he, right? Several times because I would talk back. Absolutely. His role in life was to be an authority figure in that child, and he was an amazing father when he was doing it. It's intriguing because Paedon draws comparisons between his father's strictness and his own experiences with Meri. Even when he got spanked or got his mouth slapped, he appreciates his father because he knew his father was teaching him some sense, because that's what responsible parents do. That's unlike his experiences with Meri, because his father didn't instill fear in his heart. But here's the important thing to remember. Dayton has Asperger's autism spectrum disorder, and Mikkel has made it crystal clear he requires special assistance and supervision around activities. Taking an inexperienced driver like Dayton, who for his part hasn't ever ridden an ATV before, and putting him on one is a recipe for disaster. Put him on camera for a reality show, and it's a whole different ballgame. One slip up in supervision and he could get seriously hurt. Unfortunately, Cody wasn't providing that supervision. Dayton ended up driving into a barbed wire fence. At first, Mikkel said her dad was with him, but then she seemed to waver. Was her dad with her, really? Maybe not. The thing is, fans notice how a lot of people are pretty quick to cover for Cody, and if I'm being completely honest, it kind of seems like the show skipped any key details on purpose. Even during court proceedings when she was working on Dayton's adoption, these details weren't shared with Preston Jessup. She filed documents portraying him as a bad parent, but didn't include the specifics of the accident. On the day of the crash, she said he had an accident and that he had been with friends without elaborating on the specific details of what happened. But the bottom line is that if you were riding an ATV on someone else's land and something went down, there was liability there. They may have had the ability to sue the owner of the land or even been sued themselves. So there's been a legal and a personal reason to keep the facts ambiguous there. But then things go further south. Eventually, when Preston had custody of their kids, he asked Dayton about the accident, but before he could, he was instructed by Robin not to, which if you ask me, is just a bit over the top. So when he does ask, within minutes of getting custody of the kids, Robin is texting him as quick as a snake about being cornered by Dayton, which then goes into court as evidence of his poor parenting. I cannot believe how angry the kids were when I picked them up, she wrote in the text. You are deceiving the children, involving them in material meant for adults and upsetting them. That is not emotionally healthy behavior. If there is anything that you want to know about the accident involving Dayton, you could and should have asked me. However, that is not exactly what happened. She seriously did have a talk with him that day itself regarding the accident, but she alleged that he said that Preston was cornering Dayton and misunderstanding what he said. Another parent, Aurora, also apparently said the same thing. Then Robin, based on their parenting agreement that states kids should never be drawn into the disputes between adults, told him that, make this change or I'll take it up with the judge. She further said that the kids are tired of him and that he would never give a reason that the kids should live with him. Paedon has clearly stated that the show remains a financial opportunity for his parents, and for all 5 of them, come to think of it, and for some of his brothers and sisters. For this reason, Paedon maintains that he does not want to do anything that will jeopardize the show in any way. What he's getting at is quite serious. The situation involving Meri and the children is so drastic that if it were to become public, it could hurt the show, to the point where it could potentially get canceled. This he stated as, the show is still a financial option for my family. Consider, you know what you went through as a kid, and then Meri comes around showing everyone what a victim she is, saying everyone else is exaggerating or kidding, so the truth, the kids, are pushed into the background. You know, the history could be so damaging to the show, it could potentially put the whole show into jeopardy. The question it raises is quite significant. Is it right to mean this to the public through such televised shows as this image of the perfect or fun family, to later find out through reality that very bad things are occurring in the background of the children? In fact, I talked about this with John, and I told him that this reminded me of the Duggars. You remember how they had all of this big secret looming just beneath the surface, right before it all came out? So anyway, what might be hidden behind all of these cameras could conceivably be much bigger than the secrets they're trying to keep.
It truly leaves you aghast. Will it take an arrest before they finally put the show away? Additionally, there has been well enough iffy behavior related to this family that you could potentially file a lawsuit against them. Polygamy, welfare fraud, bankruptcy, movement of credit debt, liens, taxes. Need I go on? Paedon Brown has come right out and admitted that he has hidden cash from the IRS. Seriously, it is a crime that he has not been arrested before. So there's also this giant elephant in the room that is Paedon saying that Meri did something so heinous towards the children that if it were to become public knowledge, the show would be over. And why is it not? Well, of course, because then they wouldn't be raking in the money. This is seriously making you wonder, what is Meri supposed to have done? Does this realization change your impression of Meri? Or perhaps you find yourself doubting whether this is all Paedon's telling the truth about. I mean, this is something that happened in childhood. Yet, he did go on to say that whatever happened with Meri was much worse than anything his father did to him. So much so that he compared it to being paddled and slapped in the face by his father. Whatever Meri is supposed to have done, this was something much worse. Then there is Madison herself, who makes hints about her own experiences through her tweets. It is a lot of different pieces of information to try to connect. It definitely makes one question the dynamic in the family as well as the safety of the children. We'd heard whispers of it before, a wink and a nod by Christine and Janelle about it, but Paedon is finally telling us it went further than talk. He stressed they owe their lives to Robin, and what went down could spell the end of the show if it ever came to light. So, what are your thoughts, eh? What do you make of it all? Has it changed your perspective of Meri? Perhaps Paedon is making a big deal out of life? Let me see what you have to say in the comments below. Bye for now.